Today we're going to talk about Tate Martell and this wildly interesting quarterback transfer market as it affects Oklahoma and all that's coming up after the bump.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. So it's OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time, and today we're going to talk about Ohio State quarterback Tate Martell and this wildly interesting quarterback transfer market that includes Jalen Hurts, among others. Now, I think all of this is really interesting if for no other reason than Jalen Hurts was sought to be the prize, and he's leaving Alabama for reasons for which I think you can already draw, which is that he is a starting quarterback who is not starting. And he does not want to waste away behind Tua Tagovailoa. He wants to go to some place where he's going to start and ostensibly have an opportunity to win a national championship. There are lots of places that he could go, but only a few that I think he will go. Now, to date, he has one visit that's scheduled, and this was reported by the 24/7 TCU site that his first visit is going to be to Maryland, which makes a lot of sense because the former offensive coordinator at Alabama, Mike Locksley, is now the head coach at Maryland. It seemed like it would be a good fit for him from a staff perspective and from a scheme perspective, but not necessarily from a brand perspective. Maryland is still Maryland, right? You know them more by how hideous the uniforms look than how good the college football is. And yes, Jalen Hurts would probably go up there and be the starter from day one, and Mike Locksley would put him in position to succeed, but would he have the assets around him, in particular the offensive line, to give him an opportunity to not just win some games, but win the Big Ten? And with Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State and all that's going on in the Big Ten, I'm not so certain that Maryland can do anything short of beating Texas. And they did that if they don't schedule them again this year. Now the Texas brand name game is LSU. So for Jalen Hurts, I think the front runner is still Maryland. I think Oklahoma is still very much on the agenda. I also think that Houston is in play because he's from that area, and Dana Holgorsen would totally be open to having a guy like Jalen Hurts on his quarterback depth chart, if not as his starter. And you could throw some other darts against the wall like Miami and their quarterback situation. You throw some other stuff like Washington State, whoever you don't think has a quarterback right now that needs a quarterback right now. Now, as it relates to Tate Martell, it gets wildly interesting because, one, Tate Martell said, I am not scared of a Justin Fields transfer. If he shows up here, I'm going to be the starter in 2019. If for no other reason than the offense is wildly difficult to learn. He said that he talked to Dwayne Haskins. He said it was a full year before he felt comfortable on the field in the offense. Well, apparently just the enrollment of Justin Fields is enough to force Tate Martell to put his name in the transfer portal. And he's already been linked to Oklahoma. And this is interesting for something else entirely, which is that Oklahoma is basically the Bachelor, and your favorite quarterback wants the rose, because they know that Lincoln Riley is a quarterback whisperer. And the last two transfer quarterbacks that came to Oklahoma, they won the Heisman Trophy. They both played in college football playoffs, and they're both being talked about as first-round draft picks. In one example, Baker Mayfield went #1 overall, and if Kyler Murray should choose to play football, he'll go in the first round. We know this. So yeah, any transfer quarterback for which Lincoln Riley says, I want you to come to Oklahoma, better be on the next train smoking, because that's what you want. And to that point, folks have asked me repeatedly, yo, RJ, if you had to pick between Austin Kendall, Tanner Mordecai, Jalen Hurts, Spencer Rattler, Tate Martell, whoever's out there to be the quarterback at Oklahoma in 2019, who would you pick? And I would say whoever Lincoln Riley wants. I don't care if it is Monet Davis. I would want that person to play quarterback if Lincoln Riley wants that person to play quarterback. And by the way, Monet Davis could probably sling it. What I'm saying here is that Lincoln is the guy calling the shots. Lincoln is the reason that Oklahoma is offensively in the position that it is. He's able to put his quarterbacks in positions to succeed and tailor the offense to them. And with this amount of talent that you have at Oklahoma, you want to give the keys to somebody you know can drive the car, one. And you're going to be breaking in 4 new starters on the offensive line, so you're going to need a seasoned quarterback back there to take the ball from the center. That's not to say that a guy like Austin Kendall can't win the job, because he is a seasoned quarterback, even if he doesn't have the starts. What I'm saying is, I don't think that Spencer Rattler is going to be the guy in 2019, though I think he's going to be competing for the job. Tanner Mordecai, perhaps. But all is on hold as we figure out where the transfer quarterbacks are going to end up. Now, with Tate Martell saying that he's going into the portal does not mean that he's transferring. But it can't be a good look if you got to walk into meetings and in the spring ball with your name in that portal, having Ryan Day say, am I really going to take you seriously, as Justin Fields tries to get his hardship waiver. And if you believe his attorney, Tom Mars, he has a good chance of securing that waiver based on an incident in which a Georgia baseball player called him a racial slur at a football game. And according to Mars, there's more to it than that, and I think there is too. And because they want to expedite this process, and because he enrolled at Ohio State, I think they believe that they have a good chance of getting this hardship waiver so they can play in 2019. But let's say that he can't, and let's say that Tate Martell transfers to Miami or West Virginia or wherever. You're stuck with Matthew Baldwin and Chris Chuganoff as your quarterbacks, and that's not a really good look. Chris Chuganoff was not that great at West Virginia. As a matter of fact, I think he was on the West Virginia team that got ran by Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and the Sooners in 2017. And then Matthew Baldwin, all right, cool. Perhaps he is closer to being the starter than you think, but they also got a 2020 quarterback that they really like. And all of this is interesting because if Dwan Mathis had decided to just go to Ohio State, he'd be the front runner for the job right now. Instead, he's going to Georgia, where he's waiting on, I don't know, Jake Fromm to decide that he doesn't want to play football anymore, or maybe get hurt and have an opportunity to play. But I don't necessarily think that OU is looking at Tate Martell, especially if they are looking at Jalen Hurts. And I think recruiting a transfer quarterback is a lot like recruiting any quarterback. You got to say, that's the guy that I want, and you got to stick it out until that guy decides for no longer that he doesn't want to entertain Oklahoma anymore. And then you're in kind of a Cameron Rising situation where he commits to Texas and then you go get Tanner Mordecai late. I don't think that's going to happen to Lincoln Riley because I think he knows what he has, and he knows that he'd be able to offer to any one of these transfers an opportunity to start right away because he does not have a proven starter returning. And I'm throwing out the Kyler Murray is going to return to Oklahoma narrative permanently now because the Oakland A's said they expect Kyler Murray to put his name in the NFL draft any day now. The deadline is Sunday, so we're going to know something by Monday morning, one way or another. This is wildly interesting, and I cannot wait to see how it turns out. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.